Welcome back to Brian Davis Scuba, and finally I'm getting back into doing review videos. My regular subscribers know that I do reviews on full face scuba masks. I've done 2 so far, the US Divers Airgo, which was a fail, definitely unsafe, and the Ocean Reef full face snorkeling mask, which was a beautiful piece of kit. The most popular full face mask in the world is the Decathlon, or sometimes called Triborg, or some size called Aria, EasyBreath. This is the basic model. I bought it second hand because I'm financing all my own bits of kit for reviews, but they have a full range of masks for different price levels, different comfort levels. So this review video is about this mask. It's probably the most popular in the world. I think, don't take it literally, but I think they've sold well over 10 million of these masks. There is controversy about full face snorkel masks. Generally, if they're not from a well-known brand, they can be considered not safe if they've not been tested to European standards for PPE and snorkeling. Divers Alert Network have done a lot of research. You'll see a short clip from their video later on, and have given some tips on how they should be safe. And in my video I mention the 4 brands I think are safe. So yeah, as usual, I jump in the water, test it, see if I get a headache or difficulty breathing or anything. Bit more different in this video because I've done a lot more research, and so I've included in the video, and the chapters are there, so if you just want to go straight to the EasyBreath in water test, and I've already told you I think it's safe, please feel free to do so. But there's also some information in there which will make diving with these masks and the people who should dive with these masks much safer, and there have been avoidable deaths, not because of the mask, because of people's underlying medical conditions. And if you watch the whole video, I give you a simple way to avoid that issue. So thanks for watching. I would like to test the SEAC mask I mentioned, and I would like to test the head mask. So if anyone's got a second-hand one for sale, let me know. Or if anybody works for those companies, just send me one and I'll test it. Okay, enjoy the video, and I'll talk to you at the end.
Triborg has invented the world's first mask that makes breathing under and above water one and the same.
So I hope you enjoyed that little introduction video. So yeah, the EasyBreath snorkeling mask. Now, one of the issues is it goes by about 3 different names: the Decathlon EasyBreath, the Triborg EasyBreath, and the Aria EasyBreath, and it's very confusing. And the product that I tested, as I mentioned previously, is just the basic model. They are constantly improving and having a range of models, so this video is not about letting you know, what the latest thing is. It's about letting you know, do I think this mask, based on the evidence that I've found, is safe. Now, before I go on, there has been confusion who actually developed the full face snorkeling mask, and my most popular video I've ever put on YouTube is the Ocean Reef full face mask review. Finally, this year, the problem was solved, because Ocean Reef claimed they invented it, Decathlon claimed they invented it. Well, guess what? They were both involved. Decathlon were the first to have the concept. They couldn't make the mask work, so then they worked with Ocean Reef to develop the mask, which they launched in 2014. So I guess Decathlon are the first, but they couldn't have done it without Ocean Reef. And guess what? Look on the screen. You can see on the screen. You've been looking at it while I've been talking. They issued a statement earlier this year to all the dive press to clear up who was involved with what. So yeah, Decathlon get the prize for number one, but they couldn't have done it without Ocean Reef. One thing I do like about Decathlon, they are continually improving the EasyBreath mask, and you can see up here it's called the Triborg. I think it's a market related thing, so as I said earlier, Decathlon, Subia, Triborg, it's all the same. And this is quite an important point, because you're going to see coming up a video from Dan. I've edited it and condensed it. The link to that full Dan testing is in the description below, and they come up with some very good points, because there are a lot of dangerous full face snorkeling masks out there. One place you'll see in this video, the researcher says, oh, you know, you've got to trace it back to a good manufacturer, and that's a good. Well, we know that's not true, because just look up and then go look at my old US divers, I think it was called Airgo video, and that mask is dangerous without a doubt, and I don't think it was tested by Dan. I think both, Decathlon actually claimed Dan have tested the mask, so that must be one of the masks he refers to, and I guess they also tested the Ocean Reef. One of the things they did find out that the airflow systems don't work as advertised, but that didn't really matter. So the takeaway here is, you know, buy from a reputable manufacturer who's tested their mask to some sort of standard. We'll talk about that a little bit later on. For me at the moment, I think there's only 3, maybe 4. There's Ocean Reef, which I've tested. There's the EasyBreath. Spoiler alert, yes, it is a safe mask. There's the SIAC from Italy, I think has been tested. I need to research that. I need to get one of their masks. Please someone send me one, I'll test it. And the other one is the head mask, which is a copy, or at least I think it's made by Ocean Reef. So have a look at the Dan video. It's very interesting. After that, we're going to get into some heavier stuff about why the masks are considered dangerous, and I'll give you just a few pointers on how to avoid, how, you know, the death that I'm going to talk about could have easily been avoided.
So we're just going to summarize really quickly. I don't know what everyone else's science tolerances are, but I could talk about science all night, but I don't think that everyone else wants to. But just in summary, all of them provided adequate O2 and CO2 levels. They were slightly worse than normal snorkels, but it was not a physiologically problematic level. Most also provided acceptable breathing pressures. However, some did not. Those provided increased pressures with even a small volume of water intrusion. And the problem, or the consistent factor between those, was not necessarily their price, but whether or not I could trace them to a manufacturer. There's always going to be an element where we cannot fully guarantee that we've identified exactly what happened to these snorkelers who are snorkeling out in the actual ocean with an infinite number of variables. So I don't think this testing has provided what I would call a smoking gun to say this is how people have died, but it has provided this sort of alarming insight into how little regulation and control there is over what I consider to be breathing equipment. So I wanted to end with this note that no equipment is ever a substitute for comfort in the water. So these masks, if you have one, if you're super comfortable in the water, if you know how to clear your mask, if you've used it before and it's working fine, I don't have the data to really malign that. But if people are using this as a substitute for becoming comfortable in the water, that's not a great situation, regardless of what equipment you're using.
Okay, let's talk about this very unfortunate incident, which involved an EasyBreath mask, as you can see there on the report. And the mask, although you could say contributed to the death, really, I think it didn't. I think there was a way to avoid this death, and I'll talk about that in a minute. But the lady involved had hypertension, high blood pressure, and was on HRT therapy. She would not have passed a diving or snorkeling RTSC self-certification medical. She would have had to go for a medical review. So that's one of the reasons, or one of the ways you can avoid. In the link below, there is a link to the Recreational Scuba Training Council, I think it's called RSTC, self-certification medical. If you answer yes to any of those questions, don't go and use one of these masks without getting a medical from a doctor to say you're okay. Okay, so she unfortunately died of dry drowning, IPO, immersion pulmonary or edema, and that's essentially, fluid build up in the lungs, often mistaken for drowning, hence the people call it dry drowning. And really only recently, in the last 10 or 15 years, has it become an issue. And the BSAC, of which I'm an instructor, have been big on this, and we've actually got instructor guidance out there. And dry drowning, what happens is hydrostatic pressure when you're in the water compresses your leg veins, and then blood that pools in the legs is pushed centrally to the chest. The increased blood volume increases the pressure in the capillaries and may cause fluid to leak into the lungs and difficulty in drowning. So if you're learning to scuba dive or doing a certified scuba snorkel course, this isn't going to be an issue, because it would have been your hypertension and stuff generally, or lack of health, would have been picked up when you signed up for the course. The problem with the full face mask and snorkeling in general, there is really no pressure or legislation for you to be certified. So this was avoidable. How was this avoidable? By having a big warning in the box, by saying, including a medical form in there, in the package, in the box when you get the thing, and say, if you answer yes to any of these questions, go and get medical advice before using this device. So it was an avoidable death. Give Decathlon their due. If you go onto their blog and website, link below, they do, and I don't know if this was at the time this was there, but it is now. So they give you comprehensive safety rules on how to what you should be looking for before you use the mask. So, and again, what would be really good, the agencies, PADI, SSI, all these guys, even maybe the BSAC, why are you not offering simple courses for this? The commercial agencies love making money. They've got the big marketing machine. They could go out there and say, there's a 2-hour course for using this mask, and here's your little certification card. And we would pick up people who shouldn't be using these masks right at the training stage. Anyway, that's my little rant. Let's get back onto why I like the EasyBreath. I like the Ocean Reef. Is that they have tested it to the extent possible that they can. You saw that Dan had tested it. Decathlon in particular, use a whole host of independent and respected laboratories. There is no legislation, I think I've mentioned this in previous videos, specifically for full face snorkeling masks, but there is for snorkeling equipment and there is for PPE equipment. So if you meet those requirements, you can kind of say, and that's what I say in my review, is a certified mask. So number one takeaway, if you're looking for a full face snorkel mask, make sure you get one that's certified. As I mentioned earlier, I think there's only 4. If anyone knows different, please let me know. So coming up now is my little test in southern Phuket in Thailand, where I actually get in the water, swim with it, see if I get a headache, see if I get out of breath, and then give it the thumbs up or thumbs down.
Oh.
I'm going to do the test here in the lovely Andaman Sea, where I'm lucky to be on holiday at the moment. So a couple of initial observations. Seems to be a lot heavier than the ocean reef I tested. Materials don't seem to be as nice, but at the price point that can be expected. Anyway, I'm going to swim over to that boat over there and back and see how it breathes and see if I can recommend it or not as a safe full face mask. Well, that went well. Relatively easy to breathe. You have to breathe out a little bit forcefully to get through the exhaust valves on the mouth, but that's to be expected. Low volume. Not at any time did I have a sensation of being short of breath, having a headache, anything. And really that's to be expected, because this mask, like the ocean reef I tested previously, is fully certified. Not as comfortable, the silicon's not as comfortable. I found, despite this being the large XL size, a little bit small for me. Didn't detract, from the use of it, but it wasn't as comfortable as I would have preferred. But yes, at the price point, I think it's definitely safe, definitely good value. So this one gets a thumbs up from me. If there's any other models you'd like me to test, just put in the comments below. If I've got enough pennies or the manufacturer sends them to me, I'll buy one and test it. Thanks very much for watching, and we'll see you next time. So you can see, I think it's a pretty good mask. Wasn't comfortable for me, this particular model, right? Remember, I only paid about $10 for it. It was even less than $10. I paid $9 for it, second hand. So they do have a range. Go and get one that fits nice and comfortable. Now, another reason that I like this company and this mask is they continually innovate. And there's a short video coming up now, I think they call it KitCom, where 2 snorkelers can go together and communicate. And I didn't mention that in the video, but I think that's a great safety feature. So don't go snorkeling alone. 2 of you go, 2 of you have this new communications device. So if someone is getting in difficulty, you will know immediately, because you'll be talking to each other and you'll know someone's in distress. So yeah, have a watch at that. And I haven't seen it for sale yet, but I guess it'll be coming to the US and Europe before it comes to me here in Dubai. But amazing innovation, and it will make using these masks much safer.
Regarde comme c'est beau. Regarde, tu vois celui qui est devant là? L'eau elle est vraiment bonne. On peut aller là de ce côté s'il te plaît? Ouais, je te suis, vas-y. Et je ralentis. Regarde, viens voir un peu ici. Il y a un poisson qui est caché sous le rocher là. T'as raison, c'est chouette. Ouais, c'est vraiment sympa. Hein.
Communicate underwater using your EasyBreath communication kit.
Well, that's it. That's a wrap, as they say, from me on this full face scuba mask test. You know the drill. Like, subscribe. If you thought it was all a bunch of baloney, give it a thumbs down. I think YouTube likes just interaction, so if you don't like my stuff, at least do me the courtesy and give me a thumbs down. See you next time.